Earlier on, you corrected me that I said you'd completed nearly half of them. You say you're over half now of the missing episodes recreated, reconstructed in this form.
I have 55.
55. Wow.
Episode, which leaves 42. Had 120 faults. Then it came up with more. So I fired the people doing it, and I've still got the guy doing the Toymaker who's now going to do Galaxy 4 when that's finished. Because if they're not good enough, I'm not going to put myself up to be mocked. Like that time in Marco Polo, it's very difficult to get Arnold to laugh, to get the Doctor to laugh, and Marco laughing incredulity at Marco Polo's taking over the TARDIS from him. And the images trying to make him laugh meant he had a longer chin, it didn't look good. And of course, the usual suspects mocked it to pieces. So I redid it, but you know, I shouldn't have to be doing this, but I try. People don't know how much work goes into these. How many? I'm a perfectionist. How many rewrites and rebits done and everything. We do the Mythmakers at the moment. They got upset with me because in the first 7 minutes I had about 30 rewritten bits to do. I want them how I saw them. If they're not right, I want to shape them. I want to shape them. I want to get them as they were when I saw them, and I'm getting it. I'm doing it. There's a lot more after that. The Sharda. There's Lost in the Dark Dimensions, all the Lost. Oh, that's a great shot, the chameleon. I love that because there's no photo of them that good. I love that.
So what we've got here are a selection of pictures, these are various episodes in various states that are on their way in the not too distant future.
That's the chameleons from part 5 of Faceless Ones. They're brilliant. That's how they should look.
So now, teasing.
If you look at the cartoon, they just got stupid blotches on their face. They don't look anything like that.
It would have been quite easy to animate that way, though, wouldn't they, in all fairness, to the budget that they've got to work on those projects. But here, you're free of all those.
Of that. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of that. I'm doing it myself because I want to see them how they were. I am seeing them how they were. My episodes, if I told you, if Faceless One's 5 turns up tomorrow, I won't give a shit because it won't be that much better than ours. I've ceased to care. The way that people string you along for years and years. Paul Vanessa's spent years and years and years saying, oh, I know there's 6 episodes out there. I'm sick of people being wound up. I'm a doer, not a listener. I've done 55 episodes. Beat that. I've done them.
See, 6 months ago when we first talked about this, you know, your ambition was to recreate.
No. I can pinpoint exactly. My first animator showed me our first payment to him. It was the beginning of February. Which means we're now almost 9 months. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, October. Yeah, we're halfway through October. So yes, nearly 8.5 to 9 months now.
It's incredible. So we started reporting on it around 7.5 months ago.
Yeah, about 55 episodes in 8.5 months. So I've averaged 1.5 episodes a week over the last 9 months. Hasn't been like that because the early days are much slower, and now they're faster because I've now got 10 people working on them at once. 10. All working on a different story. No, more than 10. I've got the 2 guys who are doing the Lost stories. I've got one of a guy called Phil Jamier, who I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it.
I'd forgotten you were still doing those because I've been paying attention to all this.
We've nearly finished part 2 of The Ultimate Evil. Part 1's excellent. And The Hollows of Time, we're already halfway through part 1. So, yeah, I'm doing those from different people that want to help and do them. But I've been accused by people, don't spend our money contributions on those. But I'm not. Those are being done by people that volunteered to do them.
I remember when you and I first started talking about this, you know, you had that ambition to complete the Dalek master plan in this form. And then, you know, you talked about what you'd ideally like to continue with. And here we are, as you say, several months on, all these extra episodes completed.
My plan was to only do the stories that hadn't been animated. That was my first plan. But, you know, every time I watch these cartoons, I couldn't bear to stomach the Abominable Snowmen, what they did with Sam and Samovar. So my plan is to do all 97 missing ones, so I don't have to watch any cartoons anymore, not any.
As you and your associates have got better at this, and as artificial intelligence has also evolved in that time, you've gone back and looked at earlier episodes again, haven't you? And refined it some more.
Right,
and so now the kind of techniques that we're seeing and these results are leagues ahead of that which you premiered with.
Yeah, listen, we did Space Pirates 6 last week, finishing the story. But the guy, the soundtrack of Space Pirates 6 has always been a piece of shit, dreadful, muffled. Some sound genius had crisped it up and used some technology to sharpen it up. Been doing so in the scenes of just music. It had looked for things, voice that wasn't there, and it sort of creates Japanesey kind of voice going like in the background. So now we've redone the sound, which I'm getting back. I got it yesterday, but they're still on fault. I'm going back tonight. I'm re-putting it up tomorrow with a better soundtrack
than it's probably ever had before.
Yeah, that's the extent that I go to. If they're not good enough, I want to redo them. I want all 97 to be good. I really do. I want to enjoy all 97.
See, wherever you stand on artificial intelligence, there are people who have all manner of thoughts on AI morally and all manner of things. Genuine innovation like that.
I must point something out here. That the cretins, the idiots, actually have gone online. I've read it all. And these people are clueless. They've actually said on Twitter, how can you compare to when people animate? It's human talent. All they do is press a button and the AI works. Nothing could be further than the truth. Nothing could be more inane or stupid. These people, the Marco Polo guy has spent 2 months an episode because every single shot has to be readjusted to be perfect. All AI can do is make something move, but it adds other things that you don't want. And then you have to make it work for you. It's like, okay, think of AI as a Porsche. If you can drive a car, you can get in the Porsche and drive it. But no matter how quality the Porsche is, if you're a learner driver and you get into it and smash it into a wall, you understand? It's not the Porsche's fault, it's the driver's. Mm-hmm. AI is only as good as the person operating it. And it's not, nothing I've done is just AI. It's a combination of CGI, AI, photo manipulation, Photoshop. It's a combination of so many things and so much work. These guys are working 15 hours a day. Some days when they get close to finishing an episode, they go nights without sleep. They work so hard and put so many man hours in. And these
I completely agree. I believe this is a tool that should be that should be used as a tool and be mastered, and that people should sort of embrace it. I'm a career creative, and I'm not supposed to say things like this, but we can't uninvent AI.
Yeah, but some people are so stupid that AI can be used badly. The way that Facebook and Twitter use it to block people and do things like that's a very bad use. But AI used benevolently, like we do it, to actually recreate what's missing. To actually take something that did exist, that's been wiped by the BBC, and make it exist again, looking accurate. That is the most beautiful, benign use of it that can only be praised. And only very skilled people. No fool can just order AI and make it work. It's impossible. The people need to be very skilled to do stuff at the advanced level we're doing. And look, lots of people around the world have mastered AI, but nobody else has done any Doctor Who's. They've tried. Well, Gavin Rymel, they've tried to do clips, but nothing has come. We've so far surpassed. We're so far ahead of the race. No one else could catch up to us.
Was this something that you'd always been interested in? Or is it something you found yourself to become almost an expert in over the last 7 or 8 months?
There's a guy, he calls himself Mikhail Belgravsky. I think he called Captain Cute or Ute or something. He tried to do the Crusade. He took the telesnaps with some AI and he made them move, which fascinated me. But in between the moving, the backgrounds were shimmering and changing and going blurred. The people's faces were changing. One shot it looked like William Hart, but the next shot it looked like a different man altogether. So I could see there was some potential. It was really shit. So I kept with the idea to look for more skilled operators. So there's a website called People Per Hour with people all over the world, especially about Bangladesh people, offer their services. So I put another out. I want an AI technician to remake these all black and white programs. Of course, I got flooded with people. I got flooded with scammers. They want a down payment of £100 so they can get the equipment I need to do it. Do you know, I got scammed by 19 people trying to find the right ones. I've got a list of their names. They took £100 off me, and they delivered something that was so shit it was a joke. But they're saying they wouldn't have done the test without the money. So how I couldn't have found my existing 10 animators if I hadn't made the sacrifice of finding the gallows and crooks. But it was very annoying. There were a lot of there's one or two that kept coming back under a different name, as if it's a big game to see how much more they can con out of me. So now when someone approaches me saying I'm a very skilled guy, I can make your Doctor Who's, I don't even give them a chance. I'm sick of it. They've blown it too much.
So it's been a learning curve for you in several respects.
A very big learning curve, but I've learned to be very, very, very meticulous. I let things go when we did the Dalek Master Plan, Part 1, that I would never let go now, which is why I redid Master Plan 1 and 3 and 11, because all of them had faults. Now I can watch the Dalek Master Plan and be proud of my all-time favourite story. The Massacre is brilliant, but Part 1 is still not good enough for me, so I'm going to have to redo that. In fact, I'm already paying someone to have a go at redoing it. The guy who's English, Christian, is a genius who's done the Highlanders, which is brilliant. By the time we got to Massacre 4, it was great. And Massacre 1, there's a lot of shots in it that's slightly blurred, and where someone turns the head and it blurs. It doesn't quite look clear. It's not up to a standard of what we're doing. My standards are so much higher now, and I'm so much more. The funny thing is when people put things saying Ian Levine doesn't care, he's too sloppy, lets anything go. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm so meticulous in getting these episodes right. I can give you examples of lists and lists of faults that have had to be fixed.
How when you do that, when you issue these corrections,
sometimes they piss people off.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Someone just spent 3 weeks on an episode. I give them a list of 90 corrections. They're not happy. They're not
very,
happy.
very.
They're not mine. That's why Galaxy 4 Part 2 has never gone out yet. They're not going out till I'm happy with them. If I'm happy with them and they all want to slag me to bits, at least I was happy.
So give us that tally of the amount of episodes that are completed and out there, as opposed to the amount of episodes that you've actually completed. So there's 47 out there?
Another 48 out there.
48 out there, and you've completed 55.
55 completed. Yeah, the ones that aren't out there, they actually have, that have all got some faults. Marco Polo 3, Faces 1's 5, Celestial Tourmaker 1, Mythmakers 1, that's 4. Will in Space 4, that's 5. There's 2 more. Smugglers 3, I didn't say that, that's 6. Did I say Highlanders 3?
No.
No, 7. There you go. That's the 7. Highlanders 3 is actually finished now. It just has 20 little notes to be fixed, but it's finished otherwise. As is Celestial Tourmaker 1, that's got about 20 notes, and that's finished.
What's been the biggest challenge that you feel you've overcome, you and your teams?
Master Plan 12. It was impossible. It had over 100 faults. The guy who did all the rest of them, I mean, when he did Part 8, Golden Death, no, but Volcano, I mean, 9's Golden Death, I didn't even look at it as he went. He finished the episode, and I only found 8 faults in it. It was magic. By the time he got to Part 12, he was very distracted because he was setting other teams up to work for me, and Part 12 was very sloppy. The problem with Part 12, he missed the whole point of it. Stuff like Maverick Chen holds a gun on Stephen and Sarah, and he says, lead on. And they had him walking by the side of him. How can he hold a gun on if he's by the side of him? There's lots of little things like that were wrong. Sarah Kingdom is supposed to Stephen in the real episode. He turned her over in the skeleton where her head was, and he hadn't done things like that. He'd done all wrong. So I had to have it all. Bits like when he said, "Jam the Dalek gun down" to Stephen. So many little. I was over 100, which in the end I got it right, but it was too far off the base. That was the most, and I thought we're never going to get this right. It's never going to be right because it's that was the most challenging episode we've done to date.
Do you believe in such a thing as legacy? And if so, do you consider this to be some of your legacy to Doctor Who?
Doctor Who was produced by Verity Lambert, John Wiles, and Inez Lloyd and Peter Bryan. This is their legacy. I'm just bringing them back from being missing.
Because they were friends of yours in some cases, and their work meant so much to you when you were a child.
No. The work is because I was so hooked that I taped recorded it every single week, and I transcribed it in a book every week. By the time of Highlanders, Power of the Darkness Highlanders, the episodes were nearly 70 pages long each episode. They were word for word from my tape recorder, and there were which one someone turned left or right, it was always done by scribbling down in a notepad while the episode was on. I couldn't enjoy the episodes because I'm busy making notes while they're on for my books.
Is that your relationship with Doctor Who isn't exactly simple either. It's quite complicated when you think about it like that.
This is my last attempt to put things right. I can't bear it the way I don't like the way the BBC are doing it. BBC can do what they like, just don't interfere with me doing it properly. I mean, don't interfere with me doing it properly, because I've done a lot for you. I saved 150 episodes from being destroyed that you sell and make money out of. I found all the John Pertwee ones in colour in Canada that you didn't have. You're in black and white. I even spent £3,000 to buy Frontier in Space when 4 of the 6 episodes were in colour. You know, I've paid my dues. I've made my sacrifices for the BBC. They owe me something. Whether they like to admit it or not, they owe me.
And heaven knows you don't interfere with how they make Doctor Who currently, do you? You know, you've got your opinions about it, but you sort of leave them to get along, to get on with what they do.
I thought Russell was a friend. And on the Torchwood launch, when I was asking a question in public to the press launch of Torchwood, in public, in a room with about 400 people in, says, Ian Levine, you're not a journalist, so fuck off. Now, I kind of half laughed it off. At the time, I thought he was just ribbing me friendly, but I don't think he was. I think he was really having a nasty dig at me. I've never spoken to him since that day. Where Stephen Moffat was a very, very dear friend who I loved and who actually listened to me. When I saw this video on YouTube of that clock type of peaceful clock title sequence that someone had done, I phoned him up. Stephen, you've got to look at this. You should use this as your title theme. And he did. He actually took my advice and did. Which I had
no idea that was you. I remember that happening because we'd all seen that fabulous animation.
I've not really boasted about it, but it was him. When I had a stroke, because there was a period we fell out, he didn't speak to me for months. And when he did blink, he was at the Fitzroy Tavern. He was standing outside in the corner. I said, I know you're not speaking to me, but I want to tell you how brilliant Blink was. So he gave me a big hug and a kiss, and that was it. You know, we're friends again. The day I had the stroke, 25th of July, 2014, which is a year and 4 months ago, he phoned me up in the hospital on my mobile. He said Tom Spilsbury just told him I had a stroke. He was so worried about me, wanted to make sure I was okay. And while I was in the hospital for 3 months, he would phone me, give me little tips. He texted me all about how excited he was to meet Michael Troughton on the set of Last Christmas. And he actually texted me to say what a pleasure it was to meet him, how they spent all the evening chatting about Patrick Troughton. Steve was a real fan and a real wonderful, I love him, great writer, great character. I can't get over Blink. When you look at the intricacies of the plot of Blink, the way it's so cleverly layered.
Modern masterpiece.
Just masterpiece. And you look at the fucking Space Babies. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I like Space Babies, but that's a conversation you and I will have one day.
No, I'm sorry, how can you like Space Babies? The spaceship is fueled by the shit from babies' old nappies. How can you like that? It's a piece of crap.
Quite literally.
It was an insult to Dr.
It makes me laugh. I know it makes me laugh.
It was Russell's determined attempt, just like when he told me to fuck off in public. It was a determined attempt to take a dig at the fans like me, to say this is not your show anymore, which is what he tried to do to me on Love and Monsters with the Absorber Love.
Do you believe that the Absorber Love was sort of based partly on you? Because some people do believe that. Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know.
I've always meant to ask you about that. These are little things that I think I'll have to ask Ian about that, but I never get round to.
Russell can be very two-faced. He was lovely to my face when we had that black tie dinner. He says, "Come on, Sir Ian, come on, you bid on the." He was very friendly and encouraging to me, but he's been very bitchy behind my back. But he did come up when we had the BFI. when we had Parting of the Ways, when I met Warris, we went to the showing of it, and he was very, he came up to me then, gave me a hug and said, I want to thank you for all the episodes you've saved.
Well, you have to take that at face value. He wouldn't, that must be genuine.
I know. Yes, it was. You got to remember, I was sitting next to Stephen Moffat for the whole show, and Warris the same was about 2 seats away. That was when I first met Warris. I took him for dinner after that. Stephen and I met Stephen at Jerry Bentham's party of the launch of Rose. And Stephen made a big fuss at me there because he knew who I was and what I'd done and what I'd saved. We've been friends ever since. We had a short time when he turned on me, and then he made friends again after I raved about Blink. But I love him to bits. I won't have a word said against him. I think he was a great producer.
So are you as pleased as I am that Stephen Moffat is returning to write this year's Christmas special, Joy to the World? It's going to star Nicola Coughlan from Bridgerton alongside Ncuti Gatwa. Are you looking forward to this? And do you like the Christmas specials?
No, but I like Stephen Moffat. And the best Stephen Moffat Christmas special ever was the Husbands of River song, which I hold sacred.
You like that one? Yeah.
Oh, hello, sweetie. When it just, she's saying, how could the Doctor love anyone? You can't love the stars. They're not going to love you back. The Doctor will be anywhere but here. The Doctor's a million miles away. And she turns to me and goes, hello, sweetie. It's just the best moment ever in Doctor Who.
It's one of my all-time favourite Doctor Who moments. That in an episode that I can take it or leave it, but I love that moment.
I love the episode and the tie-up to the singing towers of Beryllium. I love that. I love Let's Kill Hitler as well. The fact they went back to when she first became River Song. I love my favourite ever New Who is Silence in the Library by far. By far,
you've mentioned that before. You've mentioned that before as well.
I love River Song, but Russell wouldn't dream of having River Song back. It's his attitude. The Russell T Davies, who came back in 2005 with Rose, with Christopher Eccleston, made 4 seasons. Journey's End, particularly the Stolen Earth one. He made Midnight, Gridlock, Silence in the Library, Blink. The greatest episodes ever. Was the most magical period of Doctor Who. And when I hated Chris Chibnall, I hated Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. I kept saying to Thomas Spilsbury, why can't Russell come back? Will you send Russell a message from me saying Ian Levine says, please come back? For some reason, I got the impression when I talked to him about it, Russell didn't want to know when my name came up. But anyway, I was begging him to come back. And look what we got, Space Babies. What happened to the Russell 20 years ago? The brilliant genius Russell who understood Doctor Who and gave us real Doctor Who. Not the Russell T Davies whose whole transgender, gay kisses shit is just all forcing his... I mean, I'm gay, but why don't stand off soapbox saying Doctor Who should be gay? I mean, it doesn't need to be gay. Can you imagine William Hartnell slugging a bloke, for God's sake, or Patrick Troughton? Doctor Who does not need to be in your face gay. It can just tell good science fiction stories like it always did. I don't like what it's become. It's tragic and it's going to end up getting cancelled because of it. Because if you notice, Graham Norton, on the Graham Norton show, Ncuti Gatwa definitely said he's filming a 3rd series. And some high up at the BBC had it cut. So it was removed from the transmitted show. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Yes. So he tried to tell them filming a 3rd series next year. Somebody higher up obviously saw this or was aware of this and cut it, forced it to be cut, because I don't believe they're going to film a 3rd series. I believe it's done so badly. How could Doctor Who go from 10 million overnight, or was it 11 million for Journey's End, to 2 million overnight for Ncuti Gatwa? It's tragic. Well, it's gone lower than Sylvester McCoy ever was. And it's because the fandom, we fought like fucking tooth and nail in the 90s to get Doctor Who back. I personally funded downtime, everything to get it back. We organised a day of action where people blocked the BBC phone lines to get Doctor Who back. This is the point. It's going to get cancelled again. Nobody's going to fight to bring it back because we've all lost love of it. We don't love it anymore.
Do you think that, given the fact that we know what Ncuti actually said, do you think that Ncuti thinks that he's making a series next year in 2025?
But it's going to be pulled, yes. Because there's no way Disney are going to renew it. And Russell T Davies, has gone before it started. He says, "Look, we're only going to make you 8 episodes a year, but the good news is that you will never have a gap. You'll have 8 episodes every year." And he's already been made a liar with that, because it's clear that even if they were to film a 3rd series, there'll be too much of a gap. So what's happening? Russell shouts his mouth off and then makes a fool of himself by making a Doctor Who series that people don't want. You know, I've gone from loving Russell T Davies to hating him. It's tragic. I actually admire his talent. He's a great writer when he wants to be. Why can't he give us stuff like Midnight again? Midnight was shit scary.
Do you think
those bangs happened around the spaceship, those big knocks, I was trembling in fear.
What do you think of the culture that we've got now, Ian, where high-profile actors on major shows like Doctor Who can go on national TV, or at least the recording of a pretty big show that's intended for national TV, make a statement like this, which is hardly particularly controversial, and it be cut?
Because he's got no right to say it, because it's going to be, the show's in trouble. The show's going to get axed, and I don't want it to get axed. I'd rather have bad Doctor Who than no Doctor Who. And this season was bad Doctor Who. That stupid having a dog on a leash pull through the time vortex at the end is just pathetic. And space babies with shitty nappies and a horrible song and dance number like Glee. I really resent it. So I'm enjoying myself remaking my William Hartnells. At the moment, we're in the middle of the Mythmakers Part 1, and I'm loving it a lot more than I love bloody Return of Sutek being on a leash.
What do you say to the people out there who disagree with that sort of fundamental point, that they believe that actually that having no Doctor Who is better than having bad Doctor Who, and that bad Doctor Who being on screen damages the brand? I
don't want that. I'd rather have this shit than no shit. Listen, it was 16 years. But I've got cancer and I'm 71. In 16 years' time, I most likely won't be here. I would say the odds are very unlikely that I'll be here in 16 years' time. I can't survive another gap. Why can't they just bring another producer in who cares and really is a good TV maker and wants to make good Doctor Who? Joe Stradinsky, who did Babylon 5, which is the best show, even better than Doctor Who. He wanted to make Doctor Who. Why the fuck wouldn't they listen to him? If he'd come in and took over Doctor Who, wouldn't be in this shitty mess now. We'd have a program that was thriving, and if Disney had taken it, they'd be begging for more. You know, Disney are embarrassed by space babies as much as I am. Mind you, Disney's a great example. I hate what they've done to their cartoons.
Yeah, we've said that before as well.
Why is it that the older, I'm not trying to be a fuddy-duddy, but the older stuff in the 60s, why is
way
it
better?
So better
well, even the stuff in the 90s was better.
60s music was better. 60s TV was better. But Doctor Who with Blink and Silence of the Live was brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. I couldn't have loved it more. I don't like what's happening now, and I think 2 million people showing it. 2 million people. It's just pathetic. It's just an insult to such a popular show. People love it for the old. People love it for Tom Baker and John Pertwee. They're not loving it for Shooting Out. They're not.
Something happened, didn't it? Because if you look back to just under a year ago, the 60th anniversary, 5-6 million turned up to watch that, and there were 5 or 6 million people there on Christmas Day as well. But something between Christmas Day,
they had to sit through. What's her name? Rose Noble. What's the
I can never remember the actress's name. Yasmin Finney.
Finney, yes.
Finney, yeah.
People have to sit through Yasmin Finney telling off the doctor about pronouns and stuff. That's when they turn off.
Exactly. But that proves, doesn't it, the fact that 5 million people turned up willing to be entertained and seduced by Doctor Who. They had to drive them away.
10 million people turned up for Rose and stayed. If Russell T Davies wasn't such a fucking idiot, he would drop all his agenda and just go back to making good stories, letting Stephen Moffat write a lot of them. I mean, he really, letting himself write a lot of them that were good. Look at Gridlock, a piece of genius. Genius. I can imagine Rusty Davies in Cardiff sitting in a traffic jam where for half an hour his car hasn't moved. So I'm going to write a science fiction version of this where the cars in space don't move, you know, they're all stuck in a jam. Ingenious. Space babies with nappies filled with poo. He's not genius. I'm sorry, but that Glee song and dance routine. having the barefaced audacity.
Yeah, that was awful.
To use people from Strictly Come Dancing as well. Oh God, come on, Russell.
Because I don't watch Strictly, I had no idea who those fuckers were.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But the point about Russell is wooing any audience but Doctor Who fans. Him and Shooty told Doctor Who fans to eat grass or touch grass or whatever.
Yeah, to touch grass. And you got Shooty Gatwa using offensive terms like gammon to describe large portions of the viewing public. And no apology has been forthcoming for that. It took me.
Why would a middle-aged male actor like a Michael Sheen, someone like that, why have they got no chance ever being in Doctor Who? Doctor Who's now always going to be either a woman or an actor of color. Why?
I think it will always be. I think it will always be.
It's like anti-white. It's reverse racism.
I think the casting of the Doctor will, certainly as it stands at the moment, will always be used as some sort of political platform. In the same way, if you notice, the poet laureate is a similar thing, and the children's laureate. It's about who they tend to sort of put people into those places now based on the boxes that they tick, rather than their talent.
Your friend of mine, Svi Lebetkin, pronounced Lebetkin, not as that idiot from Arizona goes, Svi Lebetkin. Svi Lebetkin. He is a wonderful character. I love him to bits. He is very, very anti the whole gay thing. He's anti-gay because I'm his friend and I'm gay, but he's anti this whole gay pushing, this whole gay agenda in your face. And he comes out and he said so. So people, all the woke lot, the snowflakes, they mock him because they think he's a bigot. It's not that he's a bigot. He's just like me. He just wants to see Doctor Who back to how it was when we watched Pyramids of Mars or Terror of the Autons or Terror of the Zygons. All these great shows. I mean, we just want to see it. We want to see that back again.
In my view,
we're tired of space babies, and we're tired of Rogue with gay snogs. It's not Doctor Who.
Yeah, Rogue is one of the worst things I've ever seen, if not the worst episode of Doctor Who I've ever seen. It's pretty fucking close. I mean, the term. They bandy words like bigot around simply to label anybody who can express their view with conviction. And that's why they can't. That's not being bigoted.
I am gay. I am disabled in a wheelchair. I have lots of trans friends, and yet I come out against it in Doctor Who. That's what they can't understand about me. To be called a self-loathing gay is ridiculous because I DJ for 10 years, the biggest gay club in Europe. You know, I've been on TV programs about
Ian, we've had some of the same directed at Type 40. You know, several of our panelists are gay, you know, and are count themselves as being part of that world, that community. And it's the same racially as well.
I'd rather be gay than straight. I'm very happily gay. I'm not self-loathing in the slightest. I love being gay. But I don't love it in Doctor Who. It's wrong. Doctor Who is not queer as folk.
It's not the place. The thing is, Ian,
call it queer as folk in space.
Programming like, if we want to sort of broaden it out a little bit, programming like Doctor Who, which is intended for a broad appeal for the mass majority, tea time Saturdays for the whole family, it's not a home for agendas of any kind. Certainly not to the extent that we're presently being subjected to.
Dan, go back to the glory days. You know, the Doctor lands on a jungle planet. He discovers the Daleks are there. The guardian of the solar system has brought him Terranium, which took 50 years to mine from the planet Uranus, and which he gives to the Daleks to power the most evil weapon ever invented, the Time Destructor. The Doctor, dressed as one of the aliens, steals the Time Destructor and runs off and takes the spaceship off. The Daleks then have to pursue him. They make him crash on a prison planet. They keep pursuing him. They get to Earth. He was betrayed there. Everybody's killed. The two companions have already been killed by now. And then in the end, they get away by making a fake Terranium core and charging it up and giving the Daleks, thinking they got the real thing back. They take off into time and space. The Daleks get their time machine back from the chase, and they follow them. First of all, they follow the cricket match. New Year, the planet Tigris, which is a volcanic planet just cooling down. Then New Year's Eve. Then hang on, the next is Yeah. So yeah, then ancient Egypt with Pharaoh's tombs, and then when he finally has to give back the thing, he steals the meddling monks' directional unit. Managed to get back to Kemble. They actually managed to, even though they can't steal the TARDIS, to get back to Kemble to find the Daleks have locked up all the delegates and vanished underground. And then in the end, the Doctor grabs the time destruction and sets it off to turn the whole planet of Kemble into aging. Everything crumbles to dust, losing the third companion in one story. So the imagination, the thought that went into that, compared to the Doctor lands in a house, they're having a ball, and the Doctor fancies his bloke, so he wants to snog him. I mean, how can you compare it? You know, I was 12 when the Master Plan was on, but it captured my imagination for life. They say what you love when you're 12 stays with you forever. This thing inspired me. And God forbid people watching Doctor Who now are not going to be inspired by a baby's nappies full of shit. The people who choose to dislike me and choose to dislike my work, a lot of them won't even give it a chance. You know, there's an attitude about it. They have criticized me for not being receptive to criticism. Now, do you understand? I'm making these episodes primarily because I want to see the missing episodes. I'm making them till I'm happy with them. And the people that love me love them. I'll listen to them. But for the people that don't like them, people on Gallifrey Base or on Twitter, X or what you want to call it, I'm not interested in their opinion. I'll block them for giving me one. I don't care what their opinion is. I am not making these episodes and offering to the public for review. Do you understand what I'm saying, Dan? I'm not
Makes
saying,
perfect sense to me.
here are my episodes. Tell me what you think of them. I'm not asking. I don't care what they think of them. I don't want opinions on them. I'd rather keep them from me. If I like them, I don't want to hear anything negative about them. Let me enjoy them. Don't piss on my parade. Let me enjoy my episodes. I don't want your criticism. I really don't. We've ended up with a whole load of, you know, what my father would say, chazarai, it's a Yiddish word, about Ben in the Macra terror, because using the very few photos and the pictures that we took, still like screen grabs from him, where the bit that does exist was trying to wrestle Polly away from the Macra. It's very clear he's in very, very tight shorts, which look greyish. They look like, to me, they look like they could be a kind of mid to dark blue. If you look at the black and white picture, but they're really skin tight. They're so skin tight on the pictures. As Stephen Cranford said, he had to be going commando. There's no room for any underwear, and you would see it. So they're that tight, and that is on the pictures. Using very clever people to use with AI, we've redesigned Ben standing up full length. There's no full length picture of the Macra terror. Where you've got it. Oh my God, I've
got everything, mate. I've got everything.
That is what he should be wearing. That's how tight the shorts were and everything. Now, I've been very criticised for this. Fraser Hines said this. Fraser Hines was trying to claim the shorts were the same colour as the top. I suppose that's possible, but in fact, I might make the shorts lighter now if someone said that. But the fact is, that is the image they portrayed. A very fit, muscular young man in very short shorts, very tight shorts. So I remember it vividly from my youth. I was 14 years old when it was shown, and it had a major effect on me. You know, when you're a young gay person who doesn't accept it that you're gay, things have a very profound effect on me. The sight of Ben in the Macra terror had a very profound effect on the young gay 14-year-old Ian Levine, who took till 25 before he admitted in public that he was gay. But that look of Ben really, really affected me. So I'm going to get it right for we're doing the Macra terror soon. I want to get it right. I don't want to look what the cartoon is. They've got me iron pleated white shorts. You know, it's got nothing to do with what was seen.
It's a case of accuracy, which is generally speaking a principle that you always observe.
In this case, not just accuracy. As I said, this is part of
something personal.
Part of my sexual awakenings at a very young age. That's what this was. Because Ben, you know, they'd already shown him with no shirt on. They'd already shown him in The Smugglers with no shirt on. They were already using him as a bit of a sex object. He was about
are you concerned that people will see this and your attention to detail in this respect as being an indulgence? And that's what you want to sort of make sure that people understand that it's not necessarily that.
They already have on Twitter. You should see what they're saying.
I don't view it that way.
They're saying I've given him a hard on. I certainly haven't given him a hard on. I took a picture of a proper rugby player, an actual set of pictures of him.
Oh, I see.
Put him in his shorts. He certainly hasn't got a hard on. He's just got a slight bulge there because men are not like women. They're not smooth from the waist downwards. There was, if you look at a lot of runners and pole vaulters and stuff, you can't pretend a man hasn't got something there when he has, and that's quite how it was with Ben. The only thing I may have done is the shorts might be slightly too dark.
So, given the fact, obviously, because Fraser was there, wasn't he, during the recording of this thing, and even though it was a long, long time ago, you're receptive to the fact that he was there, you weren't.
40-odd years ago, remember? Fraser said, and I come on Twitter, they were bright orange, but if you look at the black and white image of him bending over with his shorts absolutely stuck to his arse, they don't look orange to me. They look like a darker colour. Of course, we'll never know for sure.
Were these things that you made notes on as well, way back in the transmission?
Well, it depends how I would have made notes, but yes, I would have made notes that he was in very tight shorts. Yes.
That your notebooks, as you've described before, were not only exhaustive, but there was volume after volume of them, wasn't there? And there was notes about the notes.
Don't get mixed up. The scribble notes were like shorthand. They were thrown away afterwards after I did them. They were there to help do the transcript. The transcripts are 39 volumes, 39 books, starting at page 1 and ending up on page 30,000 and something. The pages went book by book consecutively, not starting at 1 again with the volume 2. Volume 1, the Earthly Child, Cave of Skulls, Forest of Fear, Fire Making, Dead Planet, Survivors, Escape, Ambush, Expedition, Ordeal, Rescue. It was only like 4 or 5 pages an episode, just done from memory. It wasn't until part 5 of The Reign of Terror when I got this little tiny round reel-to-reel tape recorder that take 15 minutes. It started off, it went for 50 minutes and it stopped. It was one head only. You couldn't turn it over and use it again. So you can only take one way. So when I take Reign of Terror part 5, which starts with Ian being trapped in the cellar and what's his name? Leon. Yeah, Leon turning out to be a traitor and chaining him up to the wall, having the French soldiers there. That was done word for word for the first 50 minutes, but the last 10 minutes I didn't have. So I had to try and remember what they said or make it up. So
in the absence of a full literal archive of these episodes, which we haven't had those for 5 decades, near enough. In the absence of the actual film,
no. No matter what the idiots say, I maintain that these reconstructed episodes are an archive of the episodes because they are the right actors, the right faces of the actors, the right sets. They move, they talk and walk, they look and say what they should say. So yes, I believe.
It's so defensive. No, but what I'm saying though, Ian, is in the absence of the actual original episodes existing, your accounts of what was on screen at that time
are the best,
which you are now using to inform the decisions that you're making in recreating and regenerating.
Derek's got my things on long-term learning. Every story I do, I get him to scan those pages to give to the animator. We use every story, the Dalek Master Plan, the Massacre, all of them we've done. The Savages, been done from my notes, yes. Every animator has my notes and is working to them to make them accurate, yes. This is why I'm saying that they are the most accurate you're going to ever get, and I really believe in them, and I love them, and they're bringing the episodes back to me. And already half the 97 aren't missing anymore. I can watch them. I can watch them faithful and honest and true to what they were, as opposed to this dreadful reinvention of Padma Samovar and the seaweed and all these other, and worst of all, the Celestial Toymaker. Just awful. The fact that Joey the Clown, instead of getting the rope and jumping to the next block, he gets the rope and swings upside down so he stands on the ceiling. I mean, the whole thing. And instead of a glass booth where they press the button in a yellow car, and Mrs. Wiggs, who's a Victorian housewife with a cook, with like a frilling sort of, what do you call them, like in Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, but I don't know what they're called either. So let us know in the comments what those are called.
Frilly sort of head cap that they wear.
I know the ones you mean, yeah.
Instead of that, they had a tea cozy with eyes in it. I mean, it sickened me. I sat there with my hands over my head, through it.
Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. Let us know what are those things that they
Matthew's
wear.
nudging me. He was next to me. He says, "Watch it." I said, "I can't watch it. It's pathetic. I can't bear to see it. It absolutely insults my memory of Doctor Who."
So given the fact that your memory is like a steel trap and you have these ledgers of your first-hand experiences of watching the episodes at the time, it
was pointed out to me that Gary Russell's animation in that of Cyril looks awfully like me. Is that his revenge? I can't stomach to watch it, so it doesn't matter to me. But the fact is, there's something about Cyril that I think was in his head. I think he thought, I'll get my revenge on Ian Levine. When the Tomb of the Simon came back, we all loved it. I got the first print copy because I'd won the Telex Hong Kong and told them if they ever get any episodes to return them. And Adam Lee at the film library says it was down to that they came back, which certain people whose initials might be RB refute vehemently. Anyway, when Tomb of the Simon came back, me and Steve, I put my prints down to the BBC and Steve Roberts in the basement and me watched in VT. We watched the whole 4 episodes. He ran them off the film. At the same time, Gary Russell saw them and went to town on them, saying, what a disappointment after reading the Target book and actually seeing them. What a letdown.
Oh, he didn't enjoy the story so much.
What?
He didn't enjoy the story so much.
He doesn't like 60s Doctor Who. He's an enemy of 60s Doctor Who. Doesn't like it. He thinks it should look more like in his mind.
The word enemy is quite a strong word, though.
I called Gary Russell is the enemy of all Doctor Who fans who require authenticity. That was my quote. He cut it down to Gary Russell is the enemy of all Doctor Who fans, and that quoted to Ian Levine, and he used it over and over again, which is completely unfair when you take a quote out of context.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it is. Obviously, I remember when
I never said he was the enemy of all Doctor Who fans. I said he was the enemy of all of us who wanted them to be authentic, which he is. Which he went on YouTube boasting that it's 2024. We don't do things like we did in the 60s. Well, then don't remake them. Then make new programs. Do your own fucking shit. They were made in the 60s. If we're going to make them, I want them to look like they looked in the 60s. What's the point in bringing them back? You're just using the sound and reinventing the vision, especially to Mark Ayres, who's so proud of it. What's the bloody point? It's not those stories anymore. It's something else.
I want to go back to the Tomb of the Cybermen there that you were just talking about. That's another key point in the history of Doctor Who. When those particular episodes were returned, those 4 episodes were returned.
My first cousin, Shirley Cooklin.
Yeah. So when that story was returned in its entirety, a complete story that had this huge mythology sort of built up around it.
She didn't believe me when I phoned her up and told her. She didn't believe me. I phoned her up and says, your story's come back. She said, don't be ridiculous.
Really?
Anyway.
Did they do screenings at the BFI 30 years ago when that material was returned? How was that rolled out?
I had a thing called Tomb Watch. I had a DWAS thing, which I wasn't there for. I wasn't there. They did a thing called Tomb. I was in France when it came back. Adam Lee, who was Sue Malden's successor at the film library, phoned me on my mobile phone. He said, are you sitting down? I said, well, I'm in an office in the Cannes, in the south of France. You know, in an expo. I'm sitting in my own office. So he said, we've got a whole story back. I said, what is it? To Simon, I screamed. And he said, I'm calling you because you're the one that's the reason why it came back. And he said that, which people refuse to believe. But I telex with Roger Brunskill, all the stations that bought Doctor Who, and I asked them to look and return them. And it's when they found Celestial Toymaker 4 in Australia, when they found Hong Kong Tomb of the Simon, people remembered that we'd asked for them. Therefore, they knew. Otherwise, they'd have just thrown them in the bin when they found these old cans. But they knew we were looking for them, and that's how they returned them.
It's a fabulous story.
I did a lot of good in the long run when I sent all those telexes and faxes out. I did a lot of good because we got Reign of Terror back from Cyprus. Yeah, and the more we publicised it, I wrote the article in Radio Times 1983 for the 20th anniversary. declaring an amnesty that anyone could return any old Doctor Who's. There'll be no questions asked where you got them from. We just want to copy them and give them back to you. That's all we ask. We swore that no one would ever get in trouble.